Hi folks, Doyle Dykes here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And this is October, and my favorite time of the year. I love October, love the fall. And there's a lot of things about the fall that I love. Of course, the changing of the leaves. And a good friend of mine, Mark Santos, just sent me some photos today. And the leaves are changing a little bit later, he said, up in New Hampshire. But what a gorgeous part of the country, and it'll trickle its way down, and we'll have our color here in another month or so. But I just love this time of the year. This is sort of a fall-looking guitar. Special thanks to Paul Reed Smith himself for having this sent over. Paul Reed is a great guy. Built some beautiful guitars up in Maryland, over on the eastern shore of Maryland. And this guitar is under $1,000. Now, they make a real high-end acoustic guitar. I know because I have one. In fact, it's at his place right now getting a new pickup. But whatever pickup this is, some kind of Fishman. The curtains would open at the Grand Ole Opry, Grandpa Jones show. I'd play this. Portland East, Portland West. April Miles of Louisville is coming into view. Knew someday I come back, knew it from the start. April Miles of Louisville, hometown of my heart. Supper time, I swear that dog could see. Hey, Rattler, yell, yell. Call old Rattler from the barn. Here, Rattler, here, here, Rattler, yell, yell. Hey, Rattler, here. Call old Rattler from the barn. Here, Rattler, here. He'd end his songs like that, you know, down, down. He played that Fralin style banjo, and oh man, what a great guy to work for. Love Grandpa. Yeah, this is a wonderful guitar. If you do, a lot of times I'll start off with standard tuning, then go to drop D. I love the old hymns. I mean, what a great little guitar. And I believe it's the A50 EVS is what they call it. Angelus guitar from Paul Reed Smith, and plays really good. It has a neck similar. The feel of it is similar to my Olson. Um, the playability of it, and I know that's kind of hard to believe, but I have one. I have one right here, and I have a couple of them here. But this one here is one that I don't carry out much. It's a Brazilian rosewood, and it has a cedar top. It's the same thing. That James Taylor, same model basically that he plays. And a lot of times I'll start off with the regular tuning and then standard, and then go to drop D, and then I'll pull this down to a G, this down to a D, and then I'll be in. Zacchaeus. Look out now. And that's called Zacchaeus. And I actually wrote that when I was working with Grandpa Jones. This was a long time ago. And I miss Grandpa, miss that family. They're just wonderful people. You know, this is a great time of the year for me to remember them, because we'd always be back usually from our road shows and playing at the Grand Ole Opry together, and having, as they called them, the pick-ins at their home. And recently, Mark Jones, a lot of you that follow me on this, Mark passed away just recently. Mark was a banjo player like his dad. So just reflecting on this, folks, and having a good time doing it, really. This was an open G. I wrote that in Grandpa's bus, and I call it Zacchaeus. I wrote that when I was just a kid. But it's a banjo, because his banjo playing just kind of stuck in my head all the time. And so Chet Atkins had... Black Mountain Rag, and I thought, well, I can't play that in church, and so I wrote a song I could play and call it Zacchaeus. I actually called it Zacchaeus Coming Down, and then I just shortened it to Zacchaeus. And then later on, I used some of those licks in a song I wrote for my granddaughter. and I actually took some of the licks that I used on Zacchaeus and put them over, on the Amazing Grace. You may wonder why. Well, her name is Layla Grace, my granddaughter from Florida, and she has a Hawaiian name. And so I did it in this. It was a little bit fast. I had to admit, after playing the banjo song, I started it off too fast. But it's a Hawaiian slack key style. And so anyway, all those things just kind of culminate together. Been playing so many years, and now I'm a grandpa, and wrote a song for my granddaughter. Well, I've written songs for all my grandkids. But fall is a great time of year. I mean, I really love it. It was a time that normally I would go over to England, and I was watching my friend Mike Huckabee's show recently, and he had he had Meatloaf on his show. And I mean, Meatloaf is a huge star, and here's Huck up there playing bass with him, and I just got such a kick out of that, and the sound was amazing. In fact, the governor and I are good friends, and he's a wonderful guy, and he was a minister, a pastor, and he's a musician. Besides his political things, running for president and all that kind of stuff, he just loves music, loves being around musicians. And he said that we heard from Brian May, and he said it was the best sound he had ever heard on TV. And that just thrilled him, and it thrilled me too. But the funny story, and I haven't told him this, I didn't really have time, but I was at a Steak and Shake here in my hometown in Cleveland, Tennessee, and the guy said, "Has anybody ever told you look like Meatloaf?" I said, "No." But he said, "Well, you do." And I thought maybe that was Meatloaf coming in the door. I said, "Well, no, sir. I live here. I'm not Meatloaf." And so, as about a month or so later, my daughter Haley and I were in the UK. Like I say, it's this time of the year. We're always there, and before COVID, and we went to Belfast, Ireland, with my good friend Robert Wilson and his team. And Robert said, "Well, guys, you only have 5 minutes in your room. You got to come back down to the lobby." We just flew in, so we stayed at the airport hotel there. And this guy walked up and he said, "Sir," in his our Irish brogue and accent, and he says, "We think we know who you are." And I'm going, "Oh, really? And he said, "Have you been to Ireland before?" I said, "No, never. It was my first time." He said, "Well, my manager asked me to come over, and he worked at the front desk, but we're very honored to have you here." And I told Haley, I said, and he walked away. I said, "Well, that was strange." I said, "I don't get recognized. I'm not famous, like that." I said, "I think they must think I'm someone else." "Oh, Dad, they probably saw you on Sky TV." I said, "No, I think they think I'm someone else." And, "Well, who would that be?" I said, "Maybe Meatloaf, because the Steak and Shake, Meatloaf." And I said, "I don't know. I mean, I've gotten it actually a couple times." And she said, "Oh, Dad." And so we're on our way down to the BBC, which was a real honor to be there, And so we're on our way downtown at Belfast. Never been there, like I say, before. And then all of a sudden, Haley, she's in hysterics laughing. I said, "What is it?" "Look," and on the side, the whole entire side of this building with this huge sign that covered the whole side of the building, downtown Belfast, "Meatloaf is coming to Belfast." And so anyway, that's my Meatloaf story. But at the same time, when we got in, one of my friends said, "I wouldn't do anything religious here," and in Belfast. And I said, "Well, you know what? We're just going to be ourselves." And so we get in there on the radio station, and there were the nicest people. And the afternoon DJ was the kind of the afternoon zoo sort of rock guys, all tatted up, and a really cool guy. And here I am, country bumpkin, coming in to play guitar. And so we did some fast stuff. Maybe I did Zacchaeus, I don't know. but we did some fast things, maybe Wabash Cannonball, and he said, "Well, I understand that you do some religious songs on the guitar, and what is that like?" And I told my daughter, I said, God always opens the door. He always says something, but he does it. The Holy Spirit is a gentleman. And I said, we'll know it. And I looked over at Haley. She looked at me and just smiled. And we began to do this. Well, Meatloaf was going to Belfast, but I think the Holy Spirit went to Belfast and showed up that day for sure. We had a great time. What's really funny is after my gig that night, I was right by the docks there in an old pub, and I played a show there, and I believe it was for Taylor Guitars back then. And after it was over, I mean, it's pouring down rain, and the cab driver said, "Is that Doyle Dykes?" He asked one of the other guys, and he said, "Yeah, he wants to know if that was Doyle Dykes." And I said, "Right," because I thought they were making fun of me because of the Meatloaf thing. He said, "No," he said he recognized you. And I said, "Right, yeah, I'm sure." And it took them like 2 days to convince me that the guy actually saw me on Sky TV over there, like Haley had mentioned before. And so I did get recognized after all, but it's not one of those things that you try to do. I wasn't trying to be recognized, but it was just a fun time, a fun thing. Things you'll never forget in the fall, switching over from coffee to tea right now, especially in the afternoon. I hope you guys have a wonderful fall, and God bless. Thanks so much, and especially thanks to Orange Amps, GHS Strings, Shub Capos. All the people have been a blessing. Also, thank you again, Paul Reed Smith, for sending over this beautiful Angelus guitar. And special thanks also to Mr. Olson, who builds one of the finest guitars in the world. Just spoke with him yesterday. These are fine folks. And folks, if I'm in your area, folks, if I'm going to be in your area, please come out and see me. And God bless. Thanks so much.